If I was to do that, Elon Musk and Tesla got some other plans in mind, because an article came out saying that they would find buyers that flipped this truck up to $50,000 or even block the sale altogether for trying to flip this truck. Hey, you like cars? Okay. Hey, I'm back in my element. CarQuicks. Back with another one. Jumping right in. Episode 35. CarQuicks. Yep, I'm back where I used to be. Back where I belong. Back in my element. How y'all doing? Everybody doing good? Hope you are, because we got some news to talk about. Next week is the LA Auto Show. So that's kind of a big deal, because I'm waiting to see what they do this time, because after the Japan mobility show and some of these car manufacturers from Japan actually showing and proving that we can actually have another auto show that's of decent quality, let's just see what we do at the LA Auto Show. I'm expecting a whole lot of SUVs, a lot of EVs, a lot of pedestrian commodity cars, but hopefully maybe we get something a little bit exciting. I mean, what else do we got to wait for? You already know the master of the Tease. You know who I'm talking about. I told y'all, Toyota was going to play games to the max. I think by the time this recording goes out, I think the Camry will have been completely revealed. This is on what I'm recording this on the 13th, the 14th. I'm not going to wait for the reveal of the Camry. I'll shoot another video about it later. But I know for certain I was correct when I said we're probably going to get a taillight, and that's what we got. So rest assured that the next Camry that's coming out, the 2025 Camry, will have taillights, because that's all Toyota showed us. They showed us the front end silhouette. I said, like episode 33, I said they're going to show a cup holder or a taillight or something ridiculous, and they did. And you see it. I mean, that's all we got. You already know how the Camry looks now. I would imagine, right, in my own opinion, I would imagine that what we're about to get is maybe more aggressive styling. I don't know. The crown is a little interesting because it's rounded and kind of bulbous with the way the shape is. Maybe they go that route. I don't really want them to go that route. I kind of like the sharper edges of the current Camry, and I think they should kind of dial in and stay that way. But the Prius and the Crown SUVs, the one that looks like the Purosangue, a lot of those have rounded and sharp. So if I was a betting man, I would imagine that Toyota is giving us a glimpse into what their design language is moving forward. And the Camry is probably going to be the one to blaze that trail as well. I don't have anything else to say about the Camry. Like I said, we waited all this time for them to basically show off a taillight, and that's what they did. But speaking about some other news, right? There's other reveals, right? The Hurricane Inline 6. I talked about this for the TRX. I said, hey, if the next one is going to have this Hurricane Inline 6, it might be a high-performance truck or it might be a lower grade one, and that's what it's looking like. So 2025 Ram 1500 RHO is a six-cylinder TRX, basically, 540 horsepower, and I'm not mad. I'm not mad at this. Now, obviously, the big boy will remain the V8 supercharged Hemi, right? If you really want to get the beast, you better go pick one up while you still can. Similar to how the Raptor V8, even though the current Raptor that's coming out has obviously V8 in as well too. But what Ram is probably doing here is dropping the price down, hopefully. Now, if the price is much lower than the $100,000 they're charging for the TRX that's currently out now, and we're talking about a $70,000 truck, maybe this is better placed with more of the masses. Now, aftermarket, if people want more power, I mean, listen, chasing horsepower in a pickup truck is hilarious to me when it's fully off-road and capable and full power and all this and full interior features. Not those single cab short beds that have monster motors inside that be drag races. That's a different story. But for the everyday driver, 540 horsepower, it's got to be more than enough. I mean, what else are you doing at Home Depot? I mean, the wood cannot get loaded any faster, and you still got to tie it down. Okay, listen, the paint is already shaken and mixed. You don't need 790,000 horsepower to get from the job site. So the RHO, no price on it. But I mean, speculate. We got the TRX that's out now. You know what the price is. I can imagine where this is going to land. I'm putting money on the $70,000 range, which is still absolutely astronomical when it comes to the price tag of these cars. But hey, I've already said it. We're in uncharted territory with the car prices, and they're not going anywhere. We haven't seen a reduction. The sales are still up, even though they say the market is a little soft. It ain't soft enough, okay? Need this joint to be marshmallow soft for some of these prices. Now, speaking of some prices, oh my gosh. I mean, there are times when like somebody decides to release some price on a car or a markup that is so ridiculous that you would have to question the integrity of the dealership, the people who decided to print that up on the paper and stick it on the window of the car and sat back and folded their hands and said, job well done. Because that's what we got going on with the Dodge Demon 170. Anybody that has been paying attention to the Dodge Challengers, the Demons, the Hellcats, I've said it before and I'll stand on it again. Those particular model cars will proceed to raise in price as time goes on. When is that time? Is it a year from now? Is it 2 years? Is the new Challenger going to have Hellcat-worthy power? I believe so. Will it have a V8? No, it'll have an inline six from the Hurricane I just talked about in the Ram truck. But there is still a V8 supposedly in the works, so we don't know what's going to happen later on. But what I will say is this. It's still one of the finales when it comes to these muscle cars of this analog era, of this visceral era. The hybrid or whatever the next version of our iteration of mobility is coming, it may not just be EV. That is not a concept that is really going to be placed at the forefront. So anyways, the Challenger Demon 170 is like the last hurrah, the true one of this era. Not that Dodge won't come back again, because guess what? People like money, right? And however much Dodge wants to run around and Stellantis and tell people that we are done, we're moving on to EVs, we're doing this, they already backtracked enough to let me know that once they understand that they've stopped the ordering books, when there's no more Scat Packs, when there's no more Hellcats, when there's no more Charger Daytonas, when the bank accounts for the Dodge and the Fiat group are not bankrolling from the amount of people that have bought this car, they're going to come back to the table. I mean, because nobody's leaving that much money out there. Just say, hey, guess what, guys? Salute. Thanks for paving the way of saving this company, because about 15 years ago or 10 years ago, Dodge was on the brink of being non-existent. Pontiac caught the axe. Dodge was right there. Dodge, they're like, oh, almost got cut. So they revived themselves with this car. So I would imagine that even though they're saying it's done, we're moving on to the next phase of whatever that may be, they're not leaving this off the table. It's too much money being made. Now, speaking of the Dodge Demon 170, the reason why I bring this up, a dealership, I don't even know where. I'll throw it up on the screen because I couldn't remember. A dealership decided that they wanted to charge something ridiculous, insanity at its finest. $385 or $86,000. It doesn't matter if I missed it by a couple numbers. The 3 in the beginning already put us in a world that I would never, not on the island or the planet of Narnia, is this ever going down. I don't care what's happening, because when we started talking about this markup and the first number was a 3, I'm already out. I'm like, hey guys, guess what? I guess we're all smoking, okay? Because I don't know what's going on. So this dealership decided that they're going to tack on another $250,000 on top of the already $133,000 MSRP. Look, this is a running joke at this point, right? I've said my piece with a lot of it and said the dealership knows what's going on. This is marketing. I'm back here again talking about another dealership charging some asinine price tag. And everybody else, Jalopnik, The Drive, Motor Trend, everybody's talking about it because realistically too, it's just unfortunate that every single time there's some hot commodity car or hot sports car that comes out that we have to do battle with these people that get this allocation, and the manufacturers kind of just look and say, hey man, I mean, listen, we're doing our best, you can't sell nothing, we don't want you flipping it, we don't want you doing any of this. And I get it, the dealership network and the lobbyists for the dealer network, I mean, these are billion-dollar corporations, so our fight is really with them. And it's not an easy fight. And if we were truly going to, batten down the hatches or come together as one force and really do this, we would have to have like a politician or some person standing in front of the buyers against the dealership structure. And best believe most people ain't got the money or even the time to even go and do that fight. So we got another ridiculous car that's priced up. Now, would somebody pay this? I would hope not. Now, I'll say this. There are some people in this world where $380,000 won't get them out of the bed. I'm not in that price bracket. I'm not one of the oligarchs, okay? Those people may pay this much if they just feel like they ain't got nothing else to lose other than make more money or whatever they own. Real estate, land, oil, gas, steel, aluminum, air. I mean, whatever it is that they own that $380,000 won't have them blink an eye. Those are the people that might show up for this. Though I would wager that a Dodge Demon 170 wasn't on their to-do list for this Monday afternoon. So, $380,000. If you so much as love the Dodge Challenger as much as the next guy, as I do, I mean, who doesn't like a Hellcat, then, save your pennies. Because the 170 is clearly already sold out and out of reach. This is pure insanity. And speaking of the fact that everything is being marked up to a ridiculous price tag and ridiculous things that people have to go through, the CyberTruck is coming, right? Into this month, the 30th of November, the CyberTruck is being delivered. So I'm sure come that week when I'm doing my podcast episode, I should have some type of news or video. Listen, the first video on YouTube of whatever owner's taking a Cybertruck is gaining 100,000 views probably on the hour, 1 million immediately, okay? Because everybody has been waiting. Listen, I think it looks ridiculous, right? But the ridiculous nature of it kind of makes it cool. Would I buy one? I don't know about that. But speaking about those that buy it, so there's money to be made on the Cybertruck at a outrageous level, okay? If you think that if you have an allocation for a Cybertruck and you get one, let's say the first week they deliver them and you don't even feel the itch of flipping this thing, then you're a better man than me, okay? Because I would be on the forums ASAP. Like, give me 200,000. I'm out of here. Now, if I was to do that, Elon Musk and Tesla got some other plans in mind because an article came out saying that they would find buyers that flipped this truck up to $50,000 or even block the sale altogether for trying to flip this truck. Let me tell you something. The amount of money that somebody or the people that are willing to flip this truck are going to make, that $50,000 they don't care about. Let me tell you that right now. This truck costs $100,000. You spend $90,000, $80,000. You're flipping this thing for double than the 200 range. There's already articles coming out saying, listen, this thing might go for 250,000, $250,000. That 50,000 fine. Hey, I'll pay it because I'm still clearing 100 on a truck that I put $100 down on 9 years ago, or however long it's been since we saw this thing originally come out. So Tesla's doing what a lot of the manufacturers are trying to do. Ford did it with the GT when they said you had to basically apply for it, get approved, get chosen as one of the, distinguished gentlemen of buying a Ford GT, and you couldn't flip it for the first year, or maybe it might have been 2 years. But when it comes to the specialty cars, in order to combat the issue we have with car flippers, and let me correct that saying. I don't want to say an issue because I understand how the game is played on many levels. I have flipped many products of mine. I was buying Xboxes and PS5s left and right when those things was on the street. So I understand how that game is played because if anybody argues it, it's the same thing if you're selling your house, even though people like house and property and a car and things like this is just the two separate worlds. This isn't apples to apples, apples and oranges. I argue differently that if somebody's offering you more money than what you initially put up to sell it for, or if the market says, hey, you're about to sell your house for 200,000, guess what? You can sell it for 400,000. 10 out of 10, everybody's selling it for 400. So the car flipping business is just what it is. It's a pay to play. You get it early. These people are going to sell it for more. It is what it is. I don't like it when I'm on the other end of it. I probably like it if I was on the front end of it. What can you do? It's kind of a contradictory thing, right? So they're trying to stop all the car flipping of the CyberTruck or truck flipping of the CyberTruck. 50,000 isn't enough. And blocking the sale, I can imagine there's some probably legal ramifications in certain states that Tesla couldn't even enact a way to block the sale other than saying, we're not transferring the title for the first year. Maybe that's the only way you really can do it. But again, there's probably some legal precedent that you can't do that. So most people are going to pay cash. They're going to flip this truck. They're going to get the title and they're going to do it right away. And they're going to say either he's going to catch me, he's going to fine me 50,000. I'm still going to pay it. I'm going to still make my money and I'm going to be out of there. Guaranteed. They're still going to flip this truck. And I sometimes think this is just a show, smoke and mirrors. We're going to say, you can't do that. We're going to fine you. And it's like, how are you really going to stop these people? The people that actually buying this truck to flip will buy multiple of the truck. They don't care. And ultimately, Elon doesn't care, right? I mean, I know it sounds great on paper to be like, oh, this billionaire cares about us, peasants down here on the ground floor. But realistically, he don't care. It's going to sell out. They're going to be fine. He's more worried about scaling it up so that you can buy a Cybertruck every day of the week without having to pay this, ridiculous price tag that's going to come when these things hit the market. I don't know how it's going to play out. I do know that somebody's flipping this Cybertruck. Guaranteed. Okay? Don't even hold your breath. It's getting flipped. Now, last episode, I talked about the Honda Prelude. Well, Honda came out and on one end, crushed some dreams. On another, did what I expected them to do. So the chief engineer, one of the gentlemen at Honda, talked about the Prelude, and we saw the preview of it, and I was like, listen, it looks good. I said they could throw in the SI motor in there with the manual, but really what's happening, because they said it's hybrid. Now, here's where clearly their story's changing. They said that the Honda Prelude is going to be the prelude for all the EVs that are coming in for Honda. It will not be the sportiest, quickest circuit track monster, a la Civic Type R, Integra Type S. So for anybody hoping for a BRZ, GR86, Mazda Miata fighter, it ain't this. Now, for some, that's terrible news, but I would argue that the original Prelude was kind of in that same vein. I never owned a Prelude. I've driven in them from people that had them when I was younger, but I never felt that they definitely were not the Type R. They were like GSR, a little softer in some way. I know the Japanese got like an H22A motor that had like 200 horsepower, so it was basically on par with the Type R, and there was a Type S version, so it was kind of close, but nobody ever suspects the Prelude to match what the Type R can do in the ways of vehicle dynamics and driving. So they're not far off by saying this isn't going to be the sportiest, quickest thing in the world. So coming from Honda, if their scale is Civic Type R, if we drop them below that, we're not in a bad space. The Civic Si is a decent and good car, sporty in its own right. It does exactly what it's tended to do. What I don't know they're going to do is they're saying EV, but at the mobility show, on the other hand, they said this is a hybrid. So either they're sticking some new motor in there with an electric drivetrain, or they're grabbing a current 4-cylinder motor they have now and sticking an electric motor on it. I don't know which way they're going to go. What I do know is it still will sell. Even though it looks similar to a Prius, the fact that it will say Prelude, the fact that there's another 2-door coupe that should be reasonably priced, it'll sell well. Because the competition within that realm doesn't really exist. The GR86 and the BRZ aren't going to be as competitors. The Mazda Miata is not as competitors. So you kind of in this kind of free-reigning space where you're looking around and saying, what other 2-door coupes are kind of on this cool, sporty, I'm not being overly aggressive, I'm not, harsh ride. It's like grand touring in a way. Back to the ethos, to me, of the original Prelude. And I could be wrong. Somebody with a Prelude could jump in and say, no, that thing was made to rip the corners. I didn't own one then. But from what I can remember, what you see Preludes, I imagine that this one is going to match what they're doing. So we're going to see what Honda does. They may bring it out early. They may not. I don't know. 2026, 25 is when all this stuff is really dropping. Other news, there was a time when F1 races were reasonable. There was a time early on, back when the Circuit of Americas was first built, get into the Formula One race, $100, $200. Now, you might as well break out a loan. $400 or $500 for the grass, $1,000 for the grandstand. And they got the Vegas show basically coming up. And I say a show because this is a show. I know it's a race. I briefly contemplated going to the Las Vegas F1 event. I had a friend of mine who deals with a lot of the casinos and comps, and I asked him, what is Vegas F1 looking like? I got laughing emojis because he knew as well as I knew in the back of my head, it wasn't happening. Now, they have said the prices of the F1 race have come down dramatically. All these, insane $50,000 packages with Ace of Spade bottles and bottle girls and a seat next to Lewis Hamilton with whatever Gordon Ramsay in the Hell Kitchen wants to bring to you on a plate is not happening. Most of these aren't even selling. The people that can buy that and do it, they're going to do it. Now, it's going to be a spectacle. The spectacle is so crazy that all these articles from the Vegas residents, the workers, are talking about they want this thing to fail. It's been complete disruption of daily life. But I don't think any of that's really going to stop F1 from coming back to Vegas. All they have to do is clear the money. The folks the F1 is a billionaire sport, as they say. If the money clears, and the people that are going to make the most money, the property owners for Airbnbs, the casino owners, the GMs, promoters, the party promoters, the advertisers, the merchandisers, they're going to clear big bank, okay? Bags of money. They clear that, they're coming back. There's no way they're not. They're not even going to remotely consider the fact of Vegas not being the next destination if they're making this much money, because that's really, outside of the racing actually mattering to the people that are racing, money is to be made. So Vegas is the next stop. It's not looking like the greatest thing in the world is coming out, to be honest, when it comes to how people are responding to it and what they're saying. I'm going to get to my F1 race. I'm going to wait till it comes back to Austin. I'll do it next year. I was going to do it this year, but again, bad timing, other things going on, but I'm going to get to one. I would rather go to one in another country and, Silverstone, Monaco. That would be a true adventure. And maybe one day it'll happen. Okay, I'm going to will it into space. The GR Corolla, I said the other week that I was driving it up to Dallas, and I did, and I came back. Clearly, I'm back in my space. And I had changed out a part, back to the pitch mount I had, changed it out to a softer bushing in there, and it rode great. Now, here's the interesting part. I'm partnering with another company called 6 Element, and they're going to send me their pitch mount. Clearly, I love changing out this pitch mount because I've done it already like 3 times. But theirs is interesting because they use a bonded rubber other than polyurethane that is said to have better control of vibration, even at a harder rated rubber. And I'm intrigued. I'm intrigued enough that I commented on their Instagram and said, hey, I would love to try to partner with you and test out this part because this sounds really interesting. I would like to see what this can do. So that's coming in the mail. That's going to be a cool thing to try out, see how it feels, back to my visceral experience. And we'll be back. The LA Auto Show again coming up in a couple days, the 17th. The Camry is going to be revealed sometime tomorrow. I might jump on here, do another quick little short, talk about what the Camry looks like. Hopefully they actually talk about the car and we don't just get a quick little taillight or a headlight. But until then, do as you wish and do as you may. Another quick episode. But this is CarQuicks, and I'm your host. I'll see y'all around.